What if you woke up one day to discover that the most powerful man in Rome had been murdered? On March 15th, 44 BC, Julius Caesar was assassinated inside the Roman Senate. In a single moment, everything changed. But the real question is, what happened to Cleopatra? Was she suddenly left without her most powerful ally? Was her own life now in danger? And how did she survive while Rome descended into chaos? In today's episode, we'll uncover what happened to Cleopatra after Julius Caesar's death and how these events paved the way for one of history's most famous love stories, her relationship with Mark Antony. But before we begin, if you haven't watched the previous episode, I highly recommend it. We covered how Cleopatra first met Julius Caesar, how their relationship began, and the dramatic events leading up to his assassination. Now let's begin. After Julius Caesar was assassinated, Cleopatra was still in Rome with her young son, Caesarion. Cleopatra believed that Caesarion was Julius Caesar's son and hoped he would one day inherit the legacy of one of Rome's greatest leaders. But reality turned out very differently. When Caesar's will was finally read, Cleopatra received devastating news. Instead of naming Caesarion as his heir, Julius Caesar had adopted his great-nephew Octavian and declared him his official successor. In that moment, Cleopatra realized that her future in Rome was over. She quickly returned to Egypt before the growing political conflict could threaten her and her son. Back in Alexandria, however, another challenge awaited her. Her younger brother and co-ruler, Ptolemy XIV, was still officially sharing the throne with her. Not long after Cleopatra's return, Ptolemy XIV suddenly disappeared from history. Many historians believe he died under mysterious circumstances, while others suspect that Cleopatra may have arranged his death to secure the throne for herself and her son. There is no definitive proof, but one thing is certain. Caesarion was declared co-ruler of Egypt while he was still just a child. Meanwhile, Rome was falling into civil war. Caesar's assassination had not ended the conflict. It had only begun a new one. Several powerful leaders competed for control of Rome. The most important among them were Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir, Mark Antony, one of Caesar's closest generals, and Lepidus. Eventually, the three men formed what became known as the Second Triumvirate. Together, they hunted down Caesar's assassins and defeated them in battle. Afterward, they divided control of the Roman world among themselves. Mark Antony took command of Rome's eastern territories, bringing him closer than ever to Egypt. He needed Egypt's wealth and grain to strengthen his position, so in 41 BC, he summoned Cleopatra to meet him in the city of Tarsus. But Cleopatra did not arrive as a frightened queen. She turned the meeting into a spectacular display of power. She sailed into Tarsus aboard a magnificent ship with purple sails, dressed as the goddess Isis, while the air was filled with expensive perfumes. Crowds gathered along the river just to witness her arrival. Her message was clear. She was not a desperate queen seeking help. Mark Antony was deeply impressed by her appearance and personality, and before long, their relationship began to grow. But it was far more than a romance. It was a political alliance that benefited them both. Mark Antony needed Egypt's enormous wealth, while Cleopatra needed a powerful Roman ally to protect her throne and preserve Egypt's independence. From that moment, one of history's greatest partnerships was born, a partnership that would eventually lead to a final confrontation with Octavian and determine the fate of both Egypt and the Roman world. The story of Cleopatra and Mark Antony would change history forever. It would lead to epic battles, impossible choices, and the dramatic fall of ancient Egypt. But that is a story for the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Do you think Cleopatra truly loved Mark Antony, or was it all politics? I'll see you in the next episode.